So I make two types of compost on my farm. I have what I call the compost that's made on farm. So what I do is, for instance, I harvest bracken, or I'll put down leaves or some other material, and then I'll feed the cows on top of that. But that's how I get my nitrogen component, is the cows basically pooping and peeing on it. Because I'm growing vegetables and I can't really get enough to meet the amount of vegetables that I grow, I import manure. So in making compost, the first thing we need to do is sort of assemble all our materials. So the first thing I do is bring in that manure, and then once I've got my other materials assembled, like bracken, straw, I use minerals, I use rock dust, and I use a small amount of lime. The other important aspect is soil. I'll probably put about 10% soil. It's the clay content that we that we want, because that sort of helps make that humification process work better in the compost heap. Basically, I flatten the pile of manure after it's been delivered. So once you've spread all the soil and the minerals over and the bracken or straw, I then use the rotary hoe and I turn it through the heap. And so once all that's mixed through, I then push it back up into a mound where I just leave it to basically decompose and become compost. The other thing to do is to use a thermometer to put into the heap. And the ideal temperature is around the sort of 50-55 degree mark. But it's important that you adjust what the problem is. So if it gets really hot, then you need to sort of add more water. And if it's not getting hot enough, you either need to sort of aerate it and turn it again. We really need that to go through a heat process so that can actually break down properly. So if you don't turn, those outside areas won't be exposed to that heat. So we do it at least 3 times, but my preference is to turn it as least as possible. The important thing about compost making is that you understand the different phases that are involved. Now the breakdown phase is usually about 12 weeks. So what happens is that all that organic matter basically decomposes and breaks down. And a lot of people make the mistake of, after that 12-week period, to actually put it out. It hasn't gone through the build-up phase, which is the second phase. But a lot of the reasoning behind putting it out straight away is that people have analysed the compost and they've found that it has this much nutrient in, and then when it breaks down they say, well, you've lost that nutrient. But if you wait into the next stage, which is after the 12 to 14 week period, through the end of the build-up phase, which is roughly finishes about 26 weeks, then you'll find that those nutrients have magically come back. Your compost is ready is that when you can pick it up and you can smear it between your fingers and smell it, that it's lost that ammonia smell. It should just smell like good fresh earth. And the fact that it smears like that means it's moved to a colloidal stage, which is sort of the goal of what we want with compost, because those colloids are basically stable. So we can put them out on the field and they'll just do a slow release.